There's no one right way when you're producing a safety, training, or onboarding video. But one thing's for sure, a video will have a much longer lasting impact than a brochure or PowerPoint. You can choose different styles of production techniques, like videotaping on location and showing the right and wrong ways to go about a task. Video and still shots can be combined with a voiceover or an on-camera host. Or you can deliver the training material on camera, speaking to the audience and demonstrating the process. This works well when there are multiple steps to understand and carry out. Professional hosts are easy to understand, present well on camera, and deliver a message that's consistent with your company guidelines. You can also add supporting graphics to deliver key points on screen.
I'm just beginning to think the right home isn't out there for us.
Finally, another option is using actors to role play and illustrate the points you're trying to get across to your viewers. You might act out the proper technique or common mistakes and pitfalls. The right solution depends upon your objectives and your production budget. A good production company will understand your goals and present different ways to achieve them. At the end of the production, you'll have a consistent message to deliver to your employees for safety, training, and onboarding. Video presentations work in an on-screen world. If you've watched this entire video, you know what I mean. For more information, give us a call at Shamrock.